Hello students, welcome back to the class. Last class we learned what is constitution, how it was framed. In this class we learn the basic features of Indian constitution. Last class I already told there are 14 basic features are there in our constitution. Written document, size of the constitution, single citizenship, the center with strong federal structure, unified arrangement during crisis, parliamentary system, independent and impartial judiciary, amendments, adult franchise, secularism, judicial review, fundamental rights and duties, directive principles of state policy, provision for backward sections and tribes. So in this class we will learn in detail about all these features. Among the main features of Indian constitution, first one is written constitution. India has a written constitution. Only Britain and Israel do not have a written constitution, and remaining all other countries have written constitutions. Keeping in mind the social and geographical diversity of India, the constitution has been kept in the written form. Now we are going to learn the size of our constitution. Indian constitution is divided into 22 sections consisted of 395 articles and 8 appendices. Now it is 12. It is very vast document that provides details related to citizenship, fundamental rights and duties, directive principles of state policy, union-state relations, judiciary, election commission, government, institutions, minorities, etc. Thus, Indian constitution is the most detailed and elaborate document compared to other constitutions because it comprises of fundamental rights, state administration, judiciary, election commission, government institutions, minorities, scheduled caste, deprived groups, etc. So, it is the largest and detailed one. Now we are going to learn another important feature of Indian constitution, that is single citizenship. America has dual citizenship, one for United States of America and other for state citizenship. In India there is only one citizenship, that is Indian citizenship. If a citizen is living in any part of India, he has only one citizenship. Now we are going to learn the center with strong federal structure. India is a union of states, but the word federal is not seen anywhere in our constitution. So India calls itself union of states. India is a union of states and no state has the right to separate itself from the union. It has some elements of federal government. For example, in federal government there are two sets of governments, the union government and the state governments. Every state and union territories are free to make their own decisions irrespective of the central government policies. So India is called a country with strong federal structure. The constitution has clearly marked areas of functioning for both kinds of governments. The constitution demarcates the powers of the central and state government into different sets of subjects, that is union list, state list and concurrent list. Union list consisted of 97 subjects of national importance like defense, foreign affairs, atomic energy, banking, etc. State list consisted of 66 subjects, includes law and order, state government institutions, agriculture and irrigation, health, land, interstate trade and commerce, etc. Third is concurrent list. It consists of subjects of common concern, that is both central and state government. The central and state government can pass laws on these subjects. It has 47 subjects. Subjects like civil and criminal procedure, marriage and divorce, education, economic planning, trade union, etc. Another important power is residuary powers. The subjects which are not specially allotted to union or state included in the residuary powers. The central government is given more power to legislate on these residuary powers. Excise and custom, export, import, income tax. All these major taxes are decided by central government. Sales tax, revenue tax, entertainment tax, educational tax, etc. are decided by state government. Now we are going to learn emergency powers, otherwise known as unified arrangement during crisis. There are three types of emergencies: national emergency, constitutional emergency, financial emergency. First one, national emergency. It can be declared at the time of war, external attack or armed rebellion. Constitutional emergency arises when there is a breakdown of law and order, so the state cannot function according to the constitution. So constitutional emergency is declared. Third one, financial emergency. Due to increase in price, there is monetary value erosion, so financial emergency is declared. So during the time of inflation, financial emergency declared. The central government has given more powers during this time. These are the three types of emergency: national emergency, constitutional emergency, and financial emergency. Now we are going to learn parliamentary system. India has a parliamentary system of government. In parliamentary system, the parliament is supreme authority representing the people. The highest legislature of the country, which is at the union level, is called the parliament. Parliament is called bicameral because it consisted of two houses, the upper house and the lower house. The upper house is called Rajya Sabha and the lower house is called Lok Sabha. Now we are going to learn about independent and impartial judiciary. The judiciary is an independent body which works impartially. There is Supreme Court at the top, High Court at the states, and district courts at the district level. In taluka level, there are local and special courts. The judgment of the Supreme Court are binding to all the subordinate courts. The Supreme Court is the highest court of our judicial system and it is called the apex court. If there is any conflict between the union and state governments relating to constitution, the final decision lies in the hands of Supreme Court. The Indian judiciary is independent of the executive and legislature. Indian judiciary is the defender and guardian of Indian Constitution. Now we are going to learn about the amendments. Amendments means the act or process of changing the words or meaning of a law or document. Amendment means the act or process of changing the words or meaning of law or document. Constitutional provisions can be, Indian Constitution can be amended as and when required. Constitutional provisions can be amended in three ways. First one, by simple majority of members present and voting in the parliament. Second, certain amendments need a special majority along with 2/3 majority of members present and voting. Third is amendment by 2/3 majority of the parliament plus the concurrence not less than 50% of state legislature. If there is any amendment to be made in the interrelations between states, center or in supreme judiciary, then half of the states from total states should give consent. So these are the three types of amendments. One of the most important feature of Indian Constitution is universal adult franchise. According to the Constitution of India, any adult citizen of India that is over the age of 18 holds the right to vote if his name is in the electoral list. All such people are given voting rights without discrimination on the basis of caste, creed, religion, language, gender, education or birthplace. The citizens possess a right to vote in the elections of parliament, legislative assemblies or local self-government bodies. Another important feature of Indian Constitution is secularism. As per our Constitution, India has been declared as a secular state. People of different religions live in India, so the state cannot discriminate citizens on the basis of their religion. No citizen can be given special rights or cannot be denied with certain rights. State remain impartial and neutral and away in matters of religion. A secular state treats all its citizens equally. Secularism means that the state remains impartial, neutral and away in matters of religion. Followers of any religion are free to follow and practice their own religion. So when we say secularism, this secular state cannot discriminate citizens on the basis of religion. No citizen can be given special rights or denied with certain rights. State remain impartial and neutral and away in matters of religion. A secular state treats all its citizens equally. Followers of any religion are free to follow and practice their own religion. Another important feature of Indian Constitution is judicial review. Judicial review means the power of courts of law to administer and review the working of union and state is called judicial review. It is the chief characteristics of the Constitution. Judicial review reviews matters such as amendments made in the Parliament, external orders, ordinances, and judicial judgments, etc. If the court finds any fault, any indiscrepancy in the external orders or judicial judgments, it can stop it by declaring it unconstitutional and hence void. The Supreme Court has the power to declare any law passed if it was against the Constitution. It has the power to declare it unconstitutional and hence void. This is called a judicial review. The power of courts of law to administer and review working of union and state is called a judicial review. Supreme Court has the right to declare unconstitutional if any laws passed in the Parliament if it is against the Constitution. Now we are going to learn fundamental rights and duties. Fundamental rights means those rights which are necessary for every human being in order to achieve all-round development. That is known as fundamental rights. The Constitution gives various fundamental rights to each citizen. It includes right to freedom, right to education, right to equality, educational and cultural rights, right to constitutional remedy, right against exploitation, etc. These are the fundamental rights given by the Constitution to the citizens. The most valuable asset of our country lies in the fundamental rights and duties. Along with the fundamental rights, duties also provided by the Constitution, that all these fundamental duties that every citizen must fulfill. So fundamental rights and duties are the most important part of Indian Constitution. Another important feature of Indian Constitution is directive principles of state policy. The directive principles are the directions given by the Constitution to the central and the state governments to adopt proper policies for establishing a better country. These principles say that the state should protect its people, provide them security and welfare. So directive principles are the directions given by the Constitution to the central and state governments to adopt proper policies for establishing a better country. Directive principles are given for the governments, but fundamental rights are given for the citizens. If fundamental rights are violated, they can appear to the court. But if directive principles are violated, it does not have any legal backing. Fundamental rights have legal backing, but directive principles do not have. Now we are going to learn about the provisions for backward sections and tribes. The Constitution has provided certain specific provisions for the upliftment of backward sections and tribes. Discussions are held for providing reservation for backward sections and tribes in the politics. Seats are reserved in legislature and local self-governing bodies. reservation quota has also been provided to such people in fields of education and employment. Children of backward sections and tribes are also given special scholarships, basic amenities, and reducing fees under optimistic policies and shielding policies of the Constitution. These are the special provisions for backward sections and tribes. Now we are going to learn the terms. First one, responsible government. When the elected government fulfills its duty of working for the welfare of the country and increases its progress, the government is called the responsible government. Next is socialism. It is a political and economic theory of social organization which advocates that the means of production, distribution and exchange should be owned or regulated by the country as a whole, is called socialistic or socialism. Third is parliamentary method. A country's legislative body is called its parliament. In India, we have parliamentary method with Rajya Sabha with upper house and Lok Sabha as lower house. Now, as a homework, write all the question answers in your notebook and learn it. Thank you.